Before we start, I wanted to say really quickly and just tell the people watching that I have a few polls up on my channel right now. It's kind of like going to be the channel's MMA awards for 2022. We're going to go over 14 different categories. I'm going to release 2 every day for the next week to cover the full 14. I'm going to make a video about this at the end of 2022 after the Cannonier Strickland card comes out. I just wanted to let people know, just in case you want to go vote, because whichever the most voted one is going to be is the one I'm going to actually give the win to, whether it's Octagon Interview of the Year or Personality of the Year, Fight of the Year, Fighter of the Year, Event of the Year. Just a heads up for that. And please go vote. Now to get into the video, guys, this was an interesting week for the UFC. No, not even an interesting week, an interesting day too. Because this past week was pretty crazy. But even today, a lot of good fights getting announced, a lot of good fights getting canceled. Like one right here, Darren Wynn. He's out of his fight against Julian Marquez, supposed to happen this Saturday in just 2 days. He had a concussion after he fainted and fell down the stairs. I wish him a speedy recovery. I hope that he's all good. And pretty much you all saw the title, and you all know exactly what this video is going to be about. You guessed correctly. That's right. Derek Lewis and Sergey Spivak. They're going to fight. Yep, this fight got rebooked, and now it's happening on February 4th. Now, I bet that's not what a lot of you were probably expecting based on the title. But some of you are also thinking February 4th. But that's supposed to be another card. There's another UFC fight I already scheduled on the 4th. Well, it's sad for me to say this because I was kind of looking forward to it. But the UFC fight night in Seoul, South Korea was canceled. The entire thing. Every fight you see on this card right now, all of those fights were scrapped for the time being. It's not happening on February the 4th. And obviously, it's sad. I mean, it was definitely a card that I was looking forward to. It was one of the more interesting cards here because you have a lot of cards that are in Las Vegas. I mean, you have many Las Vegas here. You have a lot of USA. You have a Brazil card. You have an Australia card. That's pretty cool. And then you have a South Korea card. I mean, that's really cool because you don't see that too often, but unfortunately, the event just had to be canceled now. The thing with UFC Seoul, people knew it was going to happen for a long time. I mean, I'm pretty sure the UFC talked about going to Seoul for many months. Many months. And then it got announced that they were actually going to Seoul, South Korea for just a little bit after that. But still, a long time. And then at that time, obviously, a few Seoul fights got announced. You know, Do Ho Choi versus Kyle Nelson. Da Eun Jung versus Devin Clark. Ji Young Kim versus Mandy Bohm. And Junyan Park. And his opponent that I can't pronounce the last name of. And the road to the UFC verbally agreed cards or fights here as well. So what happened? So many good fights here, and obviously it makes sense, like one fight getting canceled due to some injury or a weight miss or whatever. Why did every single fight on this card get scrapped? And it has to do with one man only. And I don't want to put no blame on him. It's just, unfortunately, this is the sad reality. It came out a few days ago that the UFC Seoul event was in jeopardy because of the Korean Zombie's shoulder injury. Now, the Korean Zombie is easily the most popular UFC fighter to ever come out of South Korea. And this entire Seoul event was pretty much expected by a lot of fans to be headlined by the Korean Zombie. And thing was with this card is for a long time no fights were getting announced. Like I think in the last week or two we had one or two fights get added to this card here and there, but for a little bit it's just been like no activity on this card. Nothing getting announced, nothing getting said or done, just completely quiet about this card. Complete silence. Which was weird because so much more was being said about whether it was the February 11th, 18th, or anything after. There was so much more being said about future cards than the one that was closer to happening. And the one that was happening outside of the US, which most of these are taking place either in Vegas or just in the USA in general, besides one. So it got me thinking, and I think it got a lot of other people thinking too, like, why is this card just so quiet? Why is nothing being said about it? Why is the UFC not promoting it as they should have been? Even in their 30-year promotion video, you guys all saw like, oh, the fighters that were gonna be facing off in the next few months. You saw Nikita Krylov in that video, Ryan Spann. You saw Figueiredo, Moreno, but that's a pay-per-view. You saw Gastelum, Imavov, Neal, and Rachmanov. You saw even Anthony Smith versus Jamal Hill, which was a scrapped main event fight. But very little was said about the UFC Fight Night in Seoul. Very, very little. And the main part had to do with the fact that there was no main event yet announced. So eventually, and I already said this on the video, it came out, yep, people's suspicions were true. I'm pretty sure it was like a few weeks ago or a few days ago that it was speculated that the Korean Zombie had an injury, but they made it official a few days ago that Chan Sung-jung, the Korean Zombie, he did have a shoulder injury and the fight was in jeopardy. Now, how bad was the shoulder injury? He dislocated the shoulder. And he posted it on his IG that he dislocated his shoulder. He explained everything. He apologized to the other fighters that were fighting on that card, to the fans, and he apologized because the entire card might have been scrapped up to that point. And that's what ended up happening. The entire UFC Seoul card got scrapped. Every fight that you see on the, if you're looking at the photo, it's on the far right at the top left. Every fight on that card you see there, it got scrapped. It's no longer happening. So a lot of you may be thinking, why? Just because the Korean Zombie couldn't fight on the card, they could have still had those good fights, put on a different main event, and made it a really cool thing still. But it would not be the same. Because you got a lot of fighters from that region and surrounding areas that a lot of people in Seoul, South Korea are going to want to see. If you have them all fight on one card that was meant for Seoul, but you can't have it headlined by the popular guy, then it's gonna be unlikely that you're gonna get another opportunity like this to have both parties or just everybody on one combined card in one particular place. So let's say they were to go ahead with this card without the Korean Zombie. Well, you don't know when half of these guys are going to be available for their next fight, or if they would be available to fight at the same time again, or if some of them lose, or if some of them, if the fight's already happened, then they lose this opponent that was already specially matched up for them, specifically for this event. Creatively, smartly picked in order for this to just play out as best as it could in terms of entertainment. It would be a missed opportunity to just go ahead with it but not include the Korean Zombie. So I understand the UFC's move to scrap the card entirely. Sad, I was really looking forward to it, but these things just happen in MMA. It's kind of like when Derek Lewis and Sergey Spivak got canceled just 3 hours before they were expected to fight. But if we look at here, I mean, it's Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak. They will be fighting on February 4th in the Apex. I checked. It was going to be in Las Vegas in the Apex. Fight night, February 4th. This entire card is scrapped, and now they're going to be having Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak on February 4th. Fun fight. Fight a lot of people wanted to see. And you guys already know my prediction for it. It might change the next time I make another predictions video for February 4th. Lewis versus Spivak. The rescheduling. But I'm going to stick with it. Derek Lewis, first round knockout. Come on. It's what we all want. We all want the Derek Lewis comeback season. It's a very fun season. And what else? Oh, yeah. I was going to ask. And a lot of people might have this question as well. A lot of people might not be thinking about it right now. But what fights are they going to put on for this? Because it is relatively short notice. And if anybody were to be signed to fight or be scheduled to fight on this card, they would have less than 2 months to actually prepare. Now, people sign on to fight many, many months before they actually do end up fighting. For example, Robert Whittaker and Paulo Costa, they signed to fight in February. They signed to fight back in October, or at least it was announced that they were going to fight back in October. So these people knew before that they were going to fight each other. They were training before that. So what now? What do the people on February 4th do now that they have only, at most, maybe a month and a half to prepare? Who knows? Who knows who they actually get on this card on relatively short notice? Who knows what happens? What the outcome is? Who knows if it's going to be a really good card or not? Who knows if there's going to be a lot of high-value names on it or not? Who knows? Is just what I'm trying to say. All I'm saying is I'm excited for this fight. Happy that it got rescheduled, but still kind of sad for UFC Seoul. And I hope that TKZ is able to recover in time. I hope he has a speedy recovery. You know, dislocated shoulder does not sound pretty. You know, it's just, it's hard. You know, it's not easy missing out on an opportunity like that. I just hope he finds his way in the near future. But I don't want to end this video on too much of a sad note. Let's just appreciate that, yes, this fight is happening. Yes, they've got that 30-year promotion going on. Very excited for what the 30 years bring us. Obviously, so far it looks pretty good. And no, this is not the official poster. I saw someone say it in the comments, like, this poster is not good. This is not the poster. This is just the promo photo. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. Let's hope for the best. And also vote in the polls now. Whoever, personality of the year, obviously Paulo Costa and his Secret Juice is winning right now. MMA Octagon interview of the year right now. Money Moicano and the Quadrilogy, they're kind of tied right now. Don't got too many votes on it right now. Go ahead and vote for whoever you think should win, if you feel like it. If you don't, that's fine. But yeah, I'm also post 2 more polls in the next few hours, so be aware of that. Yeah, the next few months are going to be interesting.